Greetings! It is I, Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the forgotten collectible card games of old. Collectible card games that have fallen by the wayside, either no longer being played by people, no longer being produced by the companies that made them. For whatever reason, their popularity has waned to very small, if not nothing. So let's continue where we left off with Star Trek, the collectible card game. Today, we're going to dive into the rules of this interesting collectible card game. So there are indeed 7 types of cards. 5 different types of cards you'll find in your decks. Missions and dilemmas. Let's talk about the cards from your deck. You have your personnel. These are individuals you're going to use to effectively complete missions and pilot your starships. They have 3 attributes: integrity, cunning, and strength. They will also have a great number of skills attached to them, which allows them to overcome dilemmas and to complete missions. Icons on them will let you know what particular affiliation that they are with, and if there is any specific groups they are with that will affect what kind of ships and bases they can be attached to. Any kind of special abilities on that card beyond this will be printed in the information box and letting you know what that card can do. Ships carry your personnel and equipment to missions. It has 3 stats of its own: range, shields, and weapons. Basically, it's a defensive ability, how far it can travel a turn, and its offensive ability. It will have staffing requirements, basically the number of personnel that need to be on it, and it will determine whether these are command or just normal staff. Icons will once again determine basically the affiliations and what other kind of subgroup it's connected to so that you know where you can use it in the course of your game. It may have its own abilities also. Equipment is a weapon, a tricorder, or any other kind of device that could be used by either your personnel or a ship. It will tell you which kind of card it will be able to be used with, whether personnel or ship, and will indicate what the equipment itself does under the information on that equipment, whether it just gives some kind of skill or does something else entirely. Events represent significant changes in the universe as a whole. These can be effectively quick events which instruct you to place them into the discard pile to destroy them after they use, or ones that stay around and have a continual effect until some other type of card basically drives them into the discard pile, destroys them. Some of these may just be sitting out in play. Others will say they're specifically attached to personnel or equipment. It is important to note that all of these 4 types of cards may have little symbols indicating on them that they are first edition compatible. It is also important to note that all 4 of these will have a cost at the top, which will represent how many tokens you can spend on it per turn in order to purchase one of these for use. Interrupts are special cards that have no cost, that represent some kind of important occurrence happening on the board. The thing about these is they can be played not only on your own turn, but certain interrupts can be played on opponents' turns. They will define when they will be played and the exact effect that these interrupts will have. Each player will begin the game with 5 mission cards. These will represent the places that your personnel and ships will travel to and from over the course of the game. They are going to be kept separate from your deck and placed and displayed in front of you as the game starts. There are 3 types of missions: planet missions, space missions, and headquarters missions. Planet missions and space missions are the missions that you could complete and score in order to gain the points to win the game. Headquarter missions are the places that you use to start out the game, the locations which your ships and personnel begin their adventures from. Missions will have requirements, points, spans. Headquarters will have affiliations that are connected with them that you can use in particular with certain groups. So you will need a certain affiliation headquarter mission in order to have certain groups within your deck. A dilemma is an obstacle that your personnel will have to face over the course of their adventure, something that they're going to have to overcome. Dilemmas are kept in a separate dilemma deck, in which you will be shuffling and preparing ahead of time, separate from your normal player deck. There are three types of dilemmas. First, there are planet dilemmas and space dilemmas. These two can be respectively played upon planet missions and space missions. Dual dilemmas are dilemmas that can be played on either planet or in space, and you will choose which one you will play it on when you play that dilemma. Now, each personnel and ship has a specific affiliation. These affiliations are not only marked by the symbols on them, but the color and the textures of the background of these cards will indicate which affiliation it is. It is recommended that you stick to one or two affiliations for when it comes to using your decks, though certain times you could have cards from other affiliations, depending on what you're building for a deck, that you could possibly use. Once these these cards matching these affiliation are played, though, they can mix and match between ships and personnel. It's just that you have to be able to play them, but you could have as many as you technically want, as you technically legal to play. You just have to remember that the requirements to play them are the headquarters, and then it's easier to focus on one or two affiliations, and it makes it more of an efficient deck. So plan accordingly with very few of other affiliations and only ones that you feel you can use. That's it for today. I talked about, of course, the basic rules of Star Trek, the customizable card game. We dove into the 7 card types. We talked about the personnel you're going to have, the ships you're going to have, the equipment you're going to use, the events you're going to face, the interrupts you're going to use to, interrupt things, and then the missions you're going to complete, and dilemmas which are going to throw wrenches on them. 7 basic card types. Then, of course, I did mention the 9 affiliations. Now, we've only talked about these basics of setting up the game. We've dove into depths about these, which we only really mentioned a little bit when we talked about history. In the next episode, we are going to dive deeper and start talking about the rules itself, some important details around setting yourself up, and then move into beginning your game, your basic setup. These 2 bits of information are what we're going to use to start building out our adventures in this game. So, if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. I show support the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon, link description below. There's some great rewards there. Helps to grow and improve both the channel and the empire. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.